24 peg loom, 2 colors of yarn, a pair of scissors, and a knitting hook. To begin, I've gone ahead and already made my brim using my white solid color, so now I'm just going to go ahead and take my aqua blue yarn, and I'm going to make a slip knot with this, and then I'm going to place this on the central knob. Alright, so to go ahead and make that checkerboard type pattern, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm going to E-wrap every other peg on the loom. So I'm skipping pegs, every other peg, if that makes any sense at all. You can kind of see the effect that it gives here. It's going to look a little bit different than if you just knitted simply, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take my aqua blue yarn and I'm going to go in between the white yarn and I'm going to do the pegs that I skipped with the white yarn. So every other peg on the loom will be blue and then the ones in between will be white. So the even pegs are blue and the odd pegs are white. So now I'm just going to go ahead and knit off each peg on the loom. Alright, so I'm just taking the project and pulling it down to the bottom of the loom. I'm going to repeat this process again, but this time I'm going to take the blue and do the odd numbers and even do the, and then the white do the even. So the blue will first do, I'm first E-wrapping the first, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, and so on and so forth pegs. So basically they're switching roles, where the blue was even originally, now it's on the odd number pegs. It is kind of easier to think of it in terms of the peg numbers. You know, if you think there's a 24 peg loom and it starts at peg 1 and ends at peg 24, it's a little simpler to think of it like that to help you with this. So then I'm just taking the white and once again going in between the blue yarn to the unwrapped pegs. So now you can basically see from this that the bottom loop should be white and the top should be blue on some pegs, and then on the other pegs, the bottom is blue and the top is white. If this makes sense, like your pegs literally will look like a checkerboard. I hope I'm making sense here, by the way. I feel like I'm sounding like a crazy person. I'm just pulling the project down to the bottom once again. And now I'm going to go back to the original viewer. But before I do that, there's a little cat that wanted to interrupt my video. You may see her throughout the video because she likes yarn, if you can tell. So now I am taking the white and going back to the original pattern of doing the odd colored pegs. One thing you may happen is you may have your yarn kind of not really knot up, but just twist itself because you're constantly switching between colors. So about every few rows, you're probably gonna have to detangle it. Alright, so now I'm just going back in with the blue and doing the even number pegs. And I'm just gonna knit them off. Alright, so you can kind of see the look of the hat in the middle. You're going to see these real striped things on the inside of the loom, but that's just because of how we have to make them. So one of the important is to make sure that you're ending at the last 2 pegs before the central knob. So if you don't do this correctly, let me show you what can happen. If you were to just knit normally with the white color like shown here, you'll end up finding that you're gonna finish on the third to last peg, which can't happen because it'll mess up the hat. So to get around this, skip the original peg that you would normally wind over and go on to the next peg. So see, I'm going to skip the first one and go all the way over to the next one that I'm supposed to wind and then continue wrapping over. This will happen with the color that you end with on the left side of the central knob, if that makes any sense. So let me show you. So now that I've done this white yarn correctly, I will end up right before the central knob, which is where I'm supposed to be. Okay, does that make sense? Like, you always want to make sure that you're ending with your yarn the last 2 pegs before the central knob, because if you're ending any farther away from it, it will screw up the look of the checkerboard hat. So I hope that just kind of makes sense. Just make sure that you're ending those 2. If you're not ending those 2, you're going to have to skip a peg and go into the next one. Alright, so I've gone ahead and made the entire hat now, and I'm going to take this off of the loom. you can kind of see the finished result of that checkerboard that checkerboard pattern. Now I'm just cutting my yarn and I'm taking my plastic hook and basically just doing a drawstring bind off. Cat interruption. I love these cat interruptions because you guys have no idea. She sits there and watches me make videos and just plays with the yarn. So I'm just taking the last few pegs off. You can see though, if you do this correctly, how cool it looks with this checkerboard-like pattern. And that's the final product. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye!